Welcome to Cutoff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I'm a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I am Richard Castle, the producer, and Gen Genie Jr. from now on. Someday I hope to be Gen Genie Senior.
I'm Gen Genie Senior.
Well, you're not a senior yet, honey.
Yeah, well.
AARP hasn't been knocking at your door just yet.
Some may beg to differ.
Well, I'm thinking more in terms of like me being a freshman and you being a senior, not like a senior citizen. Just
I was too.
We were in high school together.
Okay.
We could have been in high school together, couldn't we?
I would have been a senior. You would have been a freshman.
When I was a freshman, I had senior friends.
I'm trying to think. We met. Yeah, I think I would have. I'm about that much older.
And that makes sense because when I met you, I was just out of high school.
And I was not.
Yeah,
I was a couple years out of high school. Yeah.
All right. Well, then maybe we would have missed each other a little bit. Hey, so guess what?
What?
This is so wild.
Ooh, do tell.
I don't know if this has really nothing to do with DNA, but it does, I guess, in a way. So we're at my my stepdad's 80th birthday party.
Indeed.
And this is the surprise party that his birth daughter flew out to surprise him for. We talked about this in last week's episode. And so we're all giving our gifts to him, and he's opening them, and it's all nice. And then my niece hands him a box, a really beautiful box, and he opens it up. I'm sitting next to him, and he opens it up, and it's a sonogram. So my niece is going to have a baby. And and of course my stepsister yells, "Oh my God, she's going to have a baby." And the entire restaurant starts applauding. And it was so fun.
Aww.
And of course my first thought was, nice way to steal your grandfather's thunder, niece. It's supposed to be all about him.
That's true. But at least it would have been it would have been worse if she had if she had just made the announcement as opposed to giving it to him as a gift, because he is connected to it.
Oh, sure. And I mean, it was very, very sweet, and it was, and I just laughed because it's just like someone in my family to make another event all about themselves.
You have no idea.
No, but my stepdad was, in tears. He was so happy.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Nice.
I know, I'm excited.
That is exciting. I have a corrections corner.
Oh, corrections corner. Yes.
So a few weeks ago when I was talking about the Nan Britton affair.
Yes, I remember that.
Remember? I read something about their relationship began at a hotel assignation. A hotel.
I was having a mint julep.
I want a mint julep now. At a hotel assignation, and I, of course, as I would do, said, "What does that mean?" So, of course, I had to look up what assignation meant. So, for all of you who have also been wondering, an assignation is a noun, and it's an appointment to meet someone in secret, typically one made by lovers.
So it's really sort of a euphemism for let's go make love.
And here's an example of the question. His assignation with an older woman. Or the allocation or attribution of someone or something as belonging to something. Assignation? Oh, that you're assigned something.
Yes.
I guess that makes sense. Anyway, so I just wanted to clear that up because I know you guys have been really losing sleep over it.
Didn't somebody post something on the Facebook page about the Nan Britton?
No, I don't think so.
Isn't she the one that was that had all that gave away all the babies?
No.
Oh, I'm wrong.
You are wrong.
No.
Nan Britton was the one who had the president's baby.
Oh, that's right. No, I'm thinking of the one.
Yes, you're thinking. Oh gosh,
she's the one that Mary Tyler Moore played in the TV movie. That's all. That's how I remember. Oh, I'm okay. So I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. No, that was Georgia Tan.
Georgia Tan.
Yes, and she wrote the book before we were. No, she didn't write the book. There's a book about her called Before We Were Yours that I actually am reading right now.
So I just was mixing up my our stories in our little story.
We have a lot of stories.
We do have a lot of stories.
It's completely understandable.
Yes.
I don't hold it against you.
But you know what?
at all.
Those were actually two that I was really fascinated by. Both of them. So.
They're good. They're good stories. What can I say?
Georgia Tan and the
Nan Britton.
Nan Britton affair.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by Nan Britton.
I'm never going to think of the words Nan Britton without thinking of affair. The Nan Britton affair.
The Nan Britton affair. When else would you think of Nan Britton?
Guess not. I'm thinking Family Affair now. Dun, 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 dun,
It's
dun,
a
dun, dun,
family
dun, dun.
affair.
No, I'm thinking the show, the TV show
I
with
know,
Buffy and
and
Jody,
Mrs. Beasley.
Mrs. Beasley, and Uncle Bill.
Did you say Bill?
Uncle Bill, because that's how the kids called him. It was not Uncle Bill. It was Uncle Bill.
Did they have Pennsylvania accents?
I don't know if it was Pennsylvania. It was just like,
That's a Pennsylvania way of
child
saying
speak.
things.
They were supposed to, no, they were like on the Upper West Side of New York, or maybe even
Well,
Upper
that's
East
close
Side.
to Pennsylvania. So maybe they grew up in Pennsylvania, and then when their parents passed away, unfortunately, they were moved to the Upper West Side.
Yeah. And that show's kind of unwatchable now, but I remember really enjoying it when I was a kid. And it was already in reruns at this point when I watched it, but
Yeah.
Family Affair.
Remember Sissy committed suicide?
So did Uncle Bill. Many, many years later. Brian Keith.
Brian Keith committed suicide?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I am sure.
Well, I did not know that.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and he was much older than poor little Buffy.
Poor Sissy.
No, it wasn't Sissy. Buffy killed herself.
Oh, you're right. It wasn't Sissy.
And I don't
Sissy's
know,
still around.
did she kill herself, or was it just an accidental overdose of drugs?
All things we need to research.
You know what?
now.
I'm going to ask Mrs. Beasley and get back to you. Folks, Mrs. Beasley was a doll. So
a very
I really
creepy
can't.
doll with glasses.
With glasses.
I loved the fact she had glasses because I had glasses as well.
She was like an old lady
Yes.
that was a doll, like a baby doll, like an old lady in baby
in
clothes.
pigtails. She was an old lady with freckles.
Yes.
Named Mrs. Beasley.
Yeah.
So she was clearly married.
Yeah, but there was no Mr. Beasley.
I have never broken it down like that before.
Oh yeah, I have.
Of
Trust
course
me.
you have.
Where is Mr. Beasley?
Wait, maybe she was the help. In England, they would call the head maid. They would call her Mrs. whatever their person they worked for's last name was.
Yes.
Did you know that?
I did know that because I watched Downton Abbey.
So, yes, exactly. So maybe Mrs. Beasley worked for somebody named Beasley, but she was actually an old maid.
But she was a baby.
Doll.
What kind of work could she have done? I'm going to go with the occult. Did you just snort?
I totally just snorted.
I'm
Because I hate this conversation so much.
I'm going to go with the occult explanation, and that Mr. Beasley was some kind of warlock that turned his wife into a doll. Is that disturbing?
Not really.
And then
At this point, no.
And then gave it to a suicidal girl. No, gave it to little Buffy.
Oh, little Buffy.
Who would later be driven crazy by Mrs. Beasley, and that's why she killed herself.
Maybe she was haunted by Mrs. Beasley. Maybe Mrs. Beasley told her to do it.
All right, this is getting
We need to cut
this is
this.
getting disrespectful. Okay, moving on to DNA.
All right,
news.
so another thing that happened a few weeks ago, I got a letter from somebody who lives in France. Nikki France?
Yes, Nikki France. We didn't know if it was her last name or if she was from France.
Or if she was a he.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Or they.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. I told you that at the time I realized that it's illegal to DNA test in France, but I decided I wanted to find out more about that.
Yes.
So here is the down low, or the lowdown. I'm not keeping the lowdown on the down low. Oh, brother.
Oh, is this like Boz Scaggs' Dirty Lowdown from the 70s? It's a song.
Oh, that's Lido.
Lido.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's Boz Scaggs. That was pretty good.
I love Boz.
Yeah. Go on. So why is DNA testing illegal in France?
Thank you for the setup. Do-it-yourself DNA testing is officially banned in France, but that doesn't mean that the French have avoided being swept along by the craze that has already hit the U.S. and the U.K. DNA testing kits appear to be everywhere this Christmas, blah, blah, blah. But even though home testing kits are banned in France, the French haven't avoided the craze altogether. What's the law in France? Unlike in the U.S. and U.K., DNA testing has been banned since 1994 under the, Loi de Biothèque, the law of bioethics. Bioethiques, that's what that says. The law, once again, my outstanding French accent wins.
You're never going to play Gigi.
Yeah, that's the only reason, not because I'm 50.
You can play the Hermione Gingold part.
No! Oh, that hurts my heart and my soul and my pride. Okay.
But it may boost your career.
Once you stop caring about your age, you work.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's true. I need to start doing that.
That's why I'm still not working, because I still care.
Anyway, the only way you can take a DNA test legally is by getting medical approval or a court order allowing you to undergo one. A court order.
Wow, that's...
That sounds weird. Anyone who breaks the law faces a fine of up to 3,750 euros. Why is it banned? Well, French doctors have pointed out that as the popularity of these tests has increased, they have seen more patients who are worried about the results. We regularly have consultations with people because they had no idea that what they were getting into. Well, that's 23andMe. Ancestry isn't going to tell you that stuff. So right there is a mistake. Professor Stanislas Blabla, director of an institute on genetic diseases, told the French press. They did a test they thought would be fun, but they are often actually receiving crucial and sometimes scientifically sound information. Okay, he went on to say that people might find out that they are a carrier of cystic fibrosis. By the way, that's important to know. They have a risk of having Huntington's disease. That's scary. They have a risk of breast cancer or ovarian cancer. This comes without further information or medical guidance, so finding it out from under a Christmas tree is really ridiculous.
Merry Christmas, you've got breast cancer. Or at least the gene.
Merry Christmas, here's the breast cancer gene. But
so terrible. I mean, I see what they're saying, and there are certain tests that you take that you have to go to the doctor to get a result. They don't just email it to you.
But here's the thing. You don't, with the only one that you get this stuff from that's a consumer DNA testing is 23andMe.
Yes.
And especially since the overhaul by the FDA, now they can only identify markers. Markers mean that you have the propensity. It does not mean you will get it.
And like a lot of companies that do business in different countries that have different laws, I assume they could just as well remove that part from their results. In other words, for people in France, if that's against the law.
Again, 23andMe is the only one. Why can't Ancestry? Because Ancestry tells you nothing.
Right.
It just tells you some form of a.
It says, yep,
of
you got
ethnicity.
DNA. Yep,
there it is. There's your
human.
DNA. So while the French don't seem to be as taken with the idea of home testing kits as Americans and Brits, from what we've seen in the French press, they don't seem to have avoided the craze altogether. As a result, they've found some effective ways of getting around the law and people ordering them online from countries where it is legal, such as the U.S., Switzerland, and Belgium.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There's always a will. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely. I was testing people in Australia long before they were selling them there.
Where there's a will, there's DNA.
Where there's a will, there's jewels. According to a report in Europe, an estimated 100,000 people in France have had their DNA sequenced using a home kit, and a poll carried out by Le Figaro in August revealed that 78% of respondents wanted France to lift the ban on DNA tests.
Well, at some point, that's going to happen, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Especially if there are other countries that, France is not... it's not an island. There are other countries very close by that people can go.
That you can practically walk to.
Yes.
Yeah. There's also, I don't see it here, but they're also talking about that they thought that it was a way to keep the peace within families because of surprising DNA results. I think that might be the bigger fear, and they're falling back on the...
Yeah, that is one of the results, and we've seen it right here on this podcast. But is that a reason to ban it, or is it
Of course not.
That's sort of like taking the idea that people are better off not knowing the truth.
Well, that's not up to them to decide.
Right.
Though.
Well, that's the point.
Right. Oh, here it is. Some have also suggested the reason for the ongoing ban is to preserve the peace in French families, with many incidents of people taking the test and discovering information such as that one of their parents is not actually theirs. Yeah, that happens. But why,
Preserve the peace at the cost of the truth is what they're saying.
Yeah, so basically keep your head in a hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't subscribe to that.
I don't either.
I think you know.
I agree.
All right, good. Should we take a break?
I think so.
All right.
If you're enjoying Cutoff Genes, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me.
Okay, so somebody posted a story this week about something called chimerism.
What is that?
Well, it's something that's in the zeitgeist. It's exceptionally rare, but it does happen. And a lot of people responded like, what? Because it's shocking. So...
It sounds like the name of a horror movie, like the Chimera. How do you say it?
Some people say chimera. I actually looked at did the thing. How do you pronounce? And has different. They pronounced it all different ways.
Okay.
So
all right. Well, there you go.
So I like to say chimerism.
I'm going to call it Anne-Miraism.
That works. Anne-Miraism.
Because I liked Anne Mira. She was great. She was funny.
Okay. So this story was basically about a woman who was going through a divorce in Washington State, and she had 2 children and was about to have her third, but they were separating, and they needed to set up some kind of public assistance or some kind of, I don't know.
Okay.
And as a part of that, both she and the husband were required to take a DNA test. To make sure that those were their children, I guess. What if they're adopted? Anyway, so they took the test, and she got called in, and they said, these aren't your children. And she's like, they came out of me. Of course they're my children.
Right.
So these kids' DNA did not match her. And she went through, a good year of fighting with them, trying to figure out what had happened. Well, what had happened is chimerism. Let me tell you.
Do tell. This is fascinating.
I will tell you. Okay. Chimerism had caused all of the DNA tests to be fooled except the last one. So they finally did another test, not a regular autosomal test or whatever the government does. And this time they took the DNA, I guess, from her thyroid. The key to understanding the condition lay in the gestation period in the womb just after conception, far before these women had been born. As it turned out, there was technically more than one genome providing genetic materials in their bodies. Why do you think that is?
Oh, God. I'm afraid to say. I think it's when there's twins in the womb and one of them sort of ingests the other.
The lost twin. That's what it is.
It's Basket Case, the movie. Remember the guy had his little brother was basically this attached to him, and he had to hide him,
yes.
But he would somehow detach at night and kill
it's
people.
Called Basket Case.
Yeah, because he kept him in a basket.
That sounds great.
It's terrible.
Wait, he kept him in a basket?
Yeah.
Wasn't he attached to him? That makes no sense.
Maybe
that's not chimerism, because chimerism is when they're literally inside your...
Yeah, but I think that the idea was that they were, he was the unformed,
Boy, oh boy.
Boy, oh boy.
Okay.
It's so disturbing.
I'm going to explain how this happens.
Please.
For humans and animals, the processes behind chimerism are the same. In the womb, chimeras begin as twins. But at a certain point during the early stages of the pregnancy, one of the twins is absorbed by the other. Oh. But this occurs far before the pregnant mother becomes aware that she was originally going to have twins. So it literally is very early on. However, the cells of the absorbed twin do not leave the mother's body. Rather, are you laughing?
I'm laughing because I'm just so disturbed by this.
I keep thinking about teeth.
No, I'm thinking about I already have enough guilt inbred in me in my DNA to find out that I somehow ingested my twin. I can't even imagine.
You do it on purpose.
I know, but who knows? Maybe I was really ambitious back then. Only one.
Lord.
I know we're in this together, twin, but only one of us is going to make it out there alive. Come a little closer, zygote.
Zygote. Let's get to the other side of this, shall we?
Please.
So the cells of the absorbed twin do not leave the mother's body. Rather than going away entirely, a portion of them are not fully able to merge with those of the surviving twin. So in chimerism, the cells of the previous existing twin do not dissipate, but rather they mass in one specific area within the body of their sibling. So she had the twin. In this woman's case, a nodule with her twin's genetic DNA was extracted from her thyroid, and its data matched that of her first 2 children.
Wow.
What's more, the genetic test showed that the DNA in Karen's thyroid was totally different from that in her hair, blood, and other cells.
That is really amazing.
It's crazy. For another woman, the DNA of her twin had amassed in her womb, which was why her children had not shown up as her own on tests. Yeah. Yeah. So it took her 18 months to figure this out and finally get the case was dismissed. The judge apologized for having doubted her in the past. Thanks, Judge.
Well, I mean, I guess, she knew, like, I gave birth to these children. So there's got to be an explanation. Something is wrong somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
You know who you've given birth to.
Yes. So, yeah, you're not going to let it go. You're not going to say, I guess they're not mine. I must have imagined it.
I guess maybe if there was one, it was just one child that you had that, and you'd go, well, maybe somebody switched the baby at the hospital. Yeah, you could come, but not when there's more than one. You go like, come on, I know.
But they matched the father.
Yeah. Oh, see? Okay. Yeah.
So what are the odds of that?
Oh, that's like an Agatha Christie mystery,
When I first discovered Malcolm, not my father, was not my father, when that DNA came back in, I, of course, was all over the chat boards on 23andMe about it, saying, why is this happening? And several people mentioned, could he be a chimera? Or could I be a chimera? No, could he be a chimera?
Right.
And the answer is, he would have
still been your father, but there just wasn't.
But he had absorbed a twin.
Right.
However, but here's the thing: this is autosomal testing. I don't think it happens with autosomal testing because he didn't match me at all. If I had received his twin's DNA, and he would be a fraternal twin, obviously, Malcolm would have matched me as an uncle.
Oh, okay.
And he didn't match me at all.
Right.
So that went out the window there. But that's the first time I have ever heard of this phenomenon.
Well, I go back to like when I was a little kid and my grandmother would start speaking Yiddish to my mother so I wouldn't understand what she was saying.
Yes.
And I'd say to my mom, what was she saying? And she's like, well, she didn't want you to hear because you know how you absorb.
She said...
So now I'm sitting here thinking, do I have a twin in me somewhere?
You're an especially absorbent child. I'm going to call you Brawny from now on.
Brawny. I'm the quicker picker-upper. And I do chime in.
Nice.
Chimera? Oh,
I
God.
chime in.
Oh, my God.
You can say chimera. Oh, my gosh.
Where have we have really dragged
this.
this down to the basement, haven't we?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating.
Yeah. You like it?
I do.
Okay.
So much so that I think I'm ready for a break.
I'm exhausted.
Okay. Thank you for listening to Cutoff Genes, the new podcast starring Julie Dixon Jackson.
All right, we're back. Story time.
Good, part 2. I'm looking forward to hear the rest of this story.
Part 2 of Debbie Key's amazing story. If you recall, last week we left a cliffhanger where she had found her biological mother through an aunt, but still not met her biological mother like months later, which I didn't realize until she was telling me the story. I was very confused. So she's going to clear that all up for us now.
Great.
Let's hear the rest of the story, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
So we had to wait to meet.
Right.
So this was April. We didn't actually meet until August.
Oh, okay. Okay, and how was that?
I can't even describe it. I knew her voice the minute I heard it.
Oh, wow. Has I take it your biological mother has passed away?
No.
Oh, are you talking about your mother, about meeting your mother for the first time?
Nope, meeting my aunt. So we haven't gotten to Mom yet.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Okay. This is getting good. Okay, so have you spoken to Mom?
Well, in August, I had not.
Okay.
And when I met my aunt in August the 5th, 2018, we spent hours and hours talking, and she told me that on Mother's Day, which would have been May of 2018, she called my mother and told her that she had found me, had been in contact with me. And she said that my mother sobbed, that she had thought of me every day, but she had never told her other children.
Right.
And she had to figure out how she was going to handle this.
Okay.
But she couldn't deal with it yet. So in August, I met my aunt. I met her daughter, who's my cousin, and my cousin's daughter, who was my first cousin once removed. We all have horses in common. So I spent the entire fall basically going, they're about 2.5, 3 hours from me, going down every weekend just to spend time with them on the farm.
Okay.
And going to my cousin's events and things like that. It's
cool.
Great.
How cool that you have that kind of connection.
We have so much in common. And that's one thing she had said in her email. She's like, I looked at your Facebook and I think we have a lot in common.
Wow.
So I spend a lot of time in my car.
Okay.
Meeting my aunt on that day, I didn't prepare myself for the emotional impact that it would have on either one of us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it was about 2 days later that I was just floored. I was overwhelmed. I was driving around, I think it was Allentown, just crying my eyes out. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
I couldn't process
It's a lot, and sometimes it takes a couple days to hit you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I knew that it would mean a lot to me, and I didn't comprehend how much it meant to her, but it meant just as much to her. And I felt bad that I didn't really consider her feelings as much as I should have. It was, I was just asking questions after question after question.
That's really interesting. That because, she was an aunt, she wasn't the one that gave birth to you, so you felt like it would be easier for her.
I did.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. That's a good thing to remember.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that made me much more aware of the other side and, their feelings.
Yeah.
But so as I'm driving around crying my eyes out, she called me and she says, why don't you keep a journal?
Oh.
And I said, that might be a really good idea because I just need to get this out.
Yeah.
And she also said, why don't you write a letter to your mother?
Yeah.
Because it had been, 3 months since my mother knew about me. And my aunt had told her basically, you can wait as long as you want, but I'm not waiting any longer.
Right.
She said, why don't you write a letter to your mom telling her why it's important that you meet her and what it would mean to you, the impact it would have on your life. And that's what I did that night.
That's great.
I wrote probably a 4-page letter. I kept a copy. And I didn't know how to get it to her. So I mailed it to my aunt and I said, would you give this to her? And she said, I will. Well, it took her a really long time to give it to my aunt. And I didn't want to bug her. I have no idea when she actually sent it, but it got to be about a month later. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to write another letter. So I wrote another letter, and it was very similar, but not an exact duplicate.
Sure.
And I mailed it myself.
Yeah.
I Googled her address, and I mailed it myself. I didn't send it certified. So, let's see. If I mailed it on Wednesday, she should have it by Saturday. And I was like, well, what do I do now? So I sent her a message through Facebook, and I just said, I'm just wondering if you received my letter or letters. And I think I waited a couple days went by, and I got back. I did receive your letters.
Oh.
I will contact you soon.
Okay. Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it took until, I think it was September 29th, because I was at my nephew's wedding.
I love this, these memories, these dates that you managed to memorize.
I got a text. We were in the hotel. My husband and I were in the hotel in Pittsburgh getting ready for my nephew's wedding, and I got a text message. I was like, oh my God, it's my mother. And she said, I'd like to get together with you. So I didn't want to meet someplace public because I thought this is going to be like a ball fest or something,
Yeah.
I would rather meet someplace private, but neither one of us could think of any place. She didn't want to go to my aunt's house, which was like in the middle of where we lived.
Right.
It would have been a perfect meeting place, but she didn't want any interference from her sister. We ended up meeting at a restaurant, and it was kind of like a cat and mouse game because I parked and I saw her drive past. I never saw her come back around. You know, we're in downtown Frederick, Maryland, and it's not a whole lot of parking. So I get a text message. I'm in the garage. And I said, well, I'm going to come meet you in the garage before we go to the restaurant. Well, she had already flown herself into the restaurant. I walk all the way to the garage. I find her car. She's nowhere to be found. So I text her.
This is torture.
It was total torture. And I messaged her, and she's like, I'm in the restaurant in the back. So I go into the restaurant, and the young host, I said, I'm meeting someone here. And he said, she's in the back. I go back there. She's not at the table.
Oh, my Lord.
She was in the restroom. So I was just like standing there, like dazed and confused. And she came out of the restroom. My back was to the door, but she said my name, and I knew who it was. Just
okay.
It's the same thing I had with my aunt. It's like, I know that voice. My subconscious knows that voice.
Yes. Well, you know, you heard it for 9 months, you know, resonating through your body.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was just surreal. We spent 4 hours having lunch. Time that had crawled for 56 years, like went fast forward that day. I had such a hard time afterwards remembering what we had talked about. It was just so overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I had this need. I mean, we hugged for like 5 minutes in the middle of this restaurant, but I didn't care. In my mind, we were the only people there.
Yeah.
So, and I had this need to just touch her, and I kept reaching out and holding her hand. And I'm like, I hope this is not creeping you out. But
yeah.
But she was fine.
Okay.
You know? And then I had taken my iPad with pictures of my kids, and so I sat next to her while I showed her, you know, my family, and she showed me who my brothers are. I have 2 full biological brothers.
You have 2 full brothers?
Full. Yes, full.
Oh, okay. So did she marry that guy?
She did.
Oh, my gosh. How does that feel?
Well, they weren't married for long. He's, he's a schmuck.
Okay.
I have half siblings all over the place.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah.
He's a little bit of a playboy.
Yeah. And not very careful, obviously.
Yeah, obvious. So, I saw pictures of my brothers, and she still hadn't told them.
So you have 2 full brothers. And she hadn't told them. Has she told them now?
She has.
Okay. And how'd that go?
Great. She told my younger brother first, because he's more flexible.
Sure. Okay.
He thought that she was going to tell him that she had terminal cancer.
This is not the first time I've heard this story.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. That is so funny that you said that. People think, and what usually happens is that the rest of the family is totally into it and isn't going to hold anything against them. And, you know, so, okay. Yeah. So he was happy.
So he was happy. I think it was a Tuesday that she told him. By Saturday, we drove to meet. It's amazing. He's amazing. And he calls me daily, or it's slowed down a little bit, but, at least weekly we talk.
Oh, that's lovely.
And then I was having some car trouble the day that we met. And he said, well, I'll check it out before you leave. Our lunch ended, and we were going to leave, and he, forgot all about my car. And so he got in his car and left, and I got in my car and was getting ready to leave. And all of a sudden he comes back into the parking lot. And he's like, I almost left without checking your car. So he turned around and came back and checked my car to make sure I was going to be able to get home. And he called me twice on the way home.
Make sure you're okay.
Make sure that I was okay.
Oh, But yeah, I've had a similar experience with I haven't met any. I have 3 half brothers and a half sister that I found a year and a half ago that I haven't, but they all live in Australia. So I haven't had the opportunity to meet them. And my one brother, the one that was my contact, he's just perfect. He says all the right things that I've always wanted a brother, to say. He's like, it's amazing. And there's like this symbiotic thing. Do you feel that way?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it took her, my mother, about another month to tell my other brother about me, because he is more rigid, doesn't handle change well.
Okay.
And he, once again, thought that she was dying. And he was angry, but not at her.
Oh.
He was angry that we were kept apart.
Okay.
And he's still angry.
So he was angry at the circumstance.
He was very much so.
Okay.
And he is a little intimidating.
Okay.
I was very nervous the first time I talked to him on the phone, but now I know that he's just a big bunch of love, and he just has this rough exterior. And we talk and text, and actually he travels for his job, I travel for my job. I'm in Pennsylvania, he's in Virginia, but he comes to Pennsylvania a lot for work. So when he's in Pennsylvania, if I'm on the same side of the state, we have dinner.
Oh, great. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I appreciate it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, that was Debbie's story. What do you think?
I thought it was fascinating,
I
like
know.
all of our stories.
They're all so great.
I know. I'm so happy that people are sharing their stories with us.
I am too.
And therefore sharing them with everyone else that's listening to us.
Yeah, guys, if you have a story, if you know anybody that has a story, if you've heard anything through the grapevine, please point them in our direction. I'd love to talk to them or you or whomever and share it with the audience.
I really need to get a story.
You do.
I do. I'm too boring.
You can't get off that now, can you?
I really can't. I'm like, why does everybody have a story about me?
You have a story. You just don't have a DNA story because you know both of your parents.
Oh, well, so
as far
as I know, apparently,
Dude, I know what your mother looked like, and I'm looking at your father right now. Those are your parents.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I'm more interested to know if, like, perhaps I have any siblings that that I don't know about.
Guys, we're going to start a GoFundMe for Rich to take a DNA test.
GoFundMe. Give me $50. Is that what it is? Or something?
Yes, 59. Well, it's 100, but 59 during a sale.
It's just 59 of you would just donate $1.
$1. Genius.
Oh, please don't, folks. Please don't. I'm just joking, really.
There are other things that we actually could use a GoFundMe for, though. So,
yeah, we'll get to that another
time. Okay. All right, we're out of here. Tell the people about yourself, Rich.
I am Richard Castle. I do not need $59. $5,900 maybe, but not $59.
59 is, yeah.
And I have a website. Wait a minute, I'm a musician. Of course I need money. You can tip me $59 at my next gig. RichardCastle.com is my website. You can follow me on Twitter at Castle Songs.
Boom. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson. Follow me at Twitter at Jules Jackson with 2 O's. Follow the podcast at Cutoff Jeans Pod. Find us on Facebook, Cutoff Jeans Podcast. Ask to join the group. Participate. It's a good time. And reach out to me. Tell me your stories. Please, I love it when everybody talks on and asks questions in the Facebook group. We've had some really interesting discussions lately. Keep it up. And come on out and play. And there's one more thing that you need to remember.
What is that? I always forget it.
The truth is in your jeans.